This week I'm going to be showing you my DSLR video rig, a setup which works really well on a tripod or handheld. Hello, my name is Cade and this is DSLRguide. So this week I'm going to be showing you my rig and taking you through all the different parts and talking about the features which make this a really helpful rig for my video shoots. So at the base of my rig I have a quick release plate here. This is, as I've talked about before, this is the best way of making sure that everything is compatible with each other. So the idea is that I have a quick release adapter on my tripod or a slider or whatever else I want to mount this whole setup to, and I can just slide it on very easily, take it on and off without any trouble. So that's kind of the base, and that has a tripod plate on it which can hold two 15mm rails, and then also I've got another quick release adapter on top of that which I can mount the camera to. So the camera just goes on top of here with a viewfinder on the back like so, and this viewfinder is really good because it means that I can block the reflections off the screen and I can pull focus a bit better, and it also gives me extra stability. So with the camera and the viewfinder on here, you've got a really nice base to start with, where you can then add other things like a matte box, a follow focus, handles and all sorts of other things through these 15mm rails, because these are the standard. So the next thing I add is this top handle, and this just goes on the front of the rails, gives me quite a few features. First one being the top handle, which makes it a lot easier to carry the rig around, and putting it on a tripod, taking it off a tripod is a lot easier. And then it also gives me extra mounting points, where I can now have a microphone as well as a lens shade from Dinkum here. So that's a really helpful compact cage which helps me to get more accessories on the camera. So yeah, I have the Rode Videomic Pro on the top here, and this is kind of my standard microphone for on the camera. So the idea is that even if I'm running dual sync sound with a boom pole, I'll still have this plugged into the camera so that I can make sure I have a good backup track. And then I also have the lens shade on here to prevent lens shades, which it does a pretty good job at that. So yeah, this is basically the rig, and the idea is, the thing that's so cool about this I think is that you can put this on a tripod, take it off, and then you can very easily add this piece here, which is again another rod with two 90-degree clamps on it from Berkey, and then it has a simple handle, another clamp going onto the shoulder stock from the very cheap Polaroid rig. And what this then allows me to do is to attach that on there like that, and then you have a really nice rig which I can, if you have it adjusted right, then the viewfinder goes perfectly up to your eye. You've got your hand holding up the camera with your elbow locked into your body, so it's really smooth. And with this setup I can actually use handheld almost a 200mm lens on a crop sensor, so that's equivalent to 300mm lens on a full frame camera. So basically this is a really stable setup which actually works really nicely. And the way I've got it set up at the moment is that if you were to lean the camera back like this, then there is a risk of it coming off. But what I usually do is just get another 90-degree clamp and put that over the front here so that this won't fall off. But to be honest, there isn't really much risk of that happening, because when I look upwards I'm supporting the weight of the camera with my eye. So yeah, this is basically a really nice rig in that I can just very quickly go from handheld to a tripod setup without having to change anything. Now I can also change my lenses very easily, so I can use my standard lens, which is the 17-50, or I can use the 70-200 Canon, which is great for telephoto shots. And yeah, so I can use both lenses in either handheld or in a tripod setup, and this works really well. So the way I find myself using this setup a lot is when I'm doing an event or something and I want to have, there's just me doing it, so I want to have the sound mounted on the camera. I don't have someone there with a boom pole, and I'll usually be using an ND filter on outdoors, and that is what creates all the flares, so that's why I have this. And then what I'll usually tend to do is just mount this on a monopod, because the monopod gives me a nice halfway between a tripod and handheld, in that I have a lot of freedom of where I can go because I don't have to carry a massive tripod around. Tripods are too bulky for events really, so I just stick this whole thing on a monopod and I've got extremely stable with all the features I need, and I can even take it off the monopod and go to my full handheld mode very quickly. So yeah, the idea behind this rig is that it's all supposed to be making your job as a filmmaker a lot easier. So this works in that you've got everything where you want it. You've got a top handle, which really saves a lot of time on set, and you even have more possibilities for expanding with a follow focus or a matte box. And while this is quite a heavy rig, I actually think that's one of the positives, because it pretty much doubles the weight of my camera. But I think that's good because it means that it's a lot more stable. Simply by just having the extra weight, I find that I can get a lot more stable shots, even if it is a bit more tricky to carry around all the time. So yeah, that's my rig. I'm pretty pleased with it, to be honest, and it basically means that I can have all the accessories I want, the viewfinder, the microphone and the lens shade, as well as having a top handle, which is really important, and I can really quickly go between handheld and tripod. So yeah, that's my setup, and I'll see you next time.